I feel like I've been waiting for this moment for a really, really long time. The Hunting Nostalgia Studio, the Playhouse. It's done. It's finally finished. It'll always have changes. There'll always be, little touches of ridiculousness here and there that I add to the Playhouse. But it's done. And this is where I'm going to film parts of Hunting Nostalgia. Tons and tons of parts of Hunting Nostalgia. Because finally, after 3 seasons, I can finally show you my collection. And I cannot wait. I mean, I just really didn't have a good place to show it off before, to talk about it, But now I have the perfect place and I absolutely love it. But if you look around here, you look around this place, there are so many items that this saying right here in the Hunting Nostalgia Studio rings true. I mean, so many items around here have been either given to me by friends or have been found for me by friends and said, hey, Nick, you won't believe what I just found. Like this, right here. My buddy Bill was ready to unload a few of his items, and for years I said, I'm so jealous of that box, man. It is my 2 worlds combining. I absolutely love hockey, and, we all know how I feel about them little wrestlers. But it combined both worlds, hockey and wrestling, and he had the box. How cool is that? Now, I had the actual tabletop hockey game, but I didn't keep the box. I mean, I will be shocked if that box wasn't shredded into a million pieces like a raccoon on Christmas morning when I got that. As a kid, I didn't care about the box. I really, truly still don't care about the box, except for stuff like that. Because look at that, Look at that picture. It's just such an amazing picture. Where else can you see 1990s WWF wrestlers playing hockey? It's just so cool. Another awesome piece that was tracked down by one of my buddies. This here is from my friend Dustin. This is the original topper for the arcade WWF Superstars. But it was weird because it's like that arcade game, when there were arcades, that arcade game was like a little bit more slender, than most arcade games, evidently, because I had a heck of a time finding a light box that fit that. And my buddy Ken from Pop Culture Comics on Mount Royal Boulevard, he said, hey man, come on down, I got a light box for you. I'm like, yes! I came down and it was too big. That item is truly like the story of Goldilocks. I mean, and then my other buddy, other store owner, Bob from Time Bomb Toys, he gives me a call. He's like, Nick, you won't believe it. I got a light box for you. And I'm like, yes, here we go. No, it is still a little bit too big. So I just didn't know what to do. I decided to build it out a little bit. And you can't tell, but that box is built out and now it lights up exactly like the old arcade topper. It's that kind of stuff. It's that kind of stuff that I absolutely love. That's a story. Boom. I didn't just get an item. I didn't just get something super awesome. I got that story, and that story is connected to 3 other collectors. How cool is that? Speaking of other collectors, that's what this shelf primarily is. Not this shelf, but that's what this cabinet here is. It's from other people. Like down here, that is a lot of my Uncle Joe's Star Wars stuff that I preserved for him for all this time. He calls it something else, but I call it preservation. And you can see back in the back there, those, I don't even know what size they are, maybe 12 by 14. They're pretty big. They are lobby cards from The Empire Strikes Back that I got from the same guy that found me that arcade topper, Dustin. He finds awesome stuff all the time. And here, right on the top, the Marx Brothers are my absolute favorite comedy duo of all time. And right here, Groucho in the middle was a gift by my buddies, our producers at the Toy Store Guide, Dave and Steve. They got me that Groucho there for Christmas. And then, through the magic of the internet, my friend Susan, my internet friend, my Instagram, Facebook friend Susan, I've never actually met her, but her name is Chico Marx fan. She loves the Marx Brothers. It is very difficult to find anyone who is interested in the Marx Brothers or even knows the Marx Brothers. Well, she does, and she found me Ciccolini and Harpo to go with Groucho. How cool is that? And then, just to be nice, as a nice little surprise, there is a Chico Marx. I don't know, like as little kids, you would have the things to put your teeth in. It kind of looks like that. There's a little tiny piano in there, which is neat. But you see that item behind it there, that Matchbox car? That is an item that I got from my grandfather's collection. It's not very valuable, okay? It's not Hot Wheels, you know what I mean? But my grandfather knew a good bargain when he saw it. So he used to load up on Matchbox cars. I wish he would have loaded up on Hot Wheels, but that's why they were so fairly priced, because they were not Hot Wheels. But that item is more special to me than anything in here because it came from my grandfather's collection, okay? There are other items. There are some items that I have lost that drive me crazy. There are some items that I have lost. Most of the items you see here, I've kept my entire life. I have kept my entire life. I wasn't selling my toys at garage sales. I wasn't selling these two guys here at a garage sale. You know, I just wasn't gonna do that. I kept everything. But there were a few collections that I lost along the way. One, Masters of the Universe, gone. I don't know what, it was from my buddy Brian, Motu Merch Man, as they call him on the internets. The Masters of the Universe. That was one collection, and I had almost all of them, I'd say. My mom and my grandfather would go out together and garage sale in the late 80s. Can you imagine? Can you imagine the stuff that was in garage sale finds in the late 80s? It was unbelievable. And I would sit home waiting every Saturday afternoon to see what my grandmother or what my mother and my grandfather would find. Now, my grandmother, she would be at home, not thrilled about the crap that my grandfather was sneaking into the house from his yard sales. But I was thrilled. It's the same exact way that my wife looks at it. She's like, what crap you bringing in here now? Well, now I have a place to put all my crap, and it's great. But this item right here, the G.I. Joe headquarters. I had that too, along with all of my G.I. Joes, and they were sold. Pretty sure they were sold at a yard sale, my G.I. Joes and my Masters of the Universe. But most of them came from yard sale finds from my mother and my grandfather. So I look at that as somebody got a great find, you know? And now I get to scavenge around and look for stuff that I lost along the way, like the G.I. Joe headquarters that I found in an attic in Butler, Pennsylvania. And this amazing lady, she called me one day, which you'll get to see on a future episode of Hunting Nostalgia, this season actually. But she called me and she said, Nick, I'm a hoarder. And I said, you are? How old are your kids? I always ask that first because that is a very, very important question, because if they're close in age with me, I know that by chance those items are going to be something that I'm interested in. You know what I mean? So I said, sure, what do you got? She says, I'm a neat hoarder, though. Her husband is blind, okay? So she has to keep her hoarding very, very neat, so her husband is able to get around the house. So I said, what do you got? And she said, I have 60 33-gallon totes in my attic of every toy that my kids have ever owned. And after I got up off of the floor, I said, what do you got? Well, like, you know, she said, I got tons and tons of G.I. Joes. But my kids aren't ready to get rid of their G.I. Joes. Everything else is free game, which there were some wrestlers, there were some crash test dummies, different stuff, awesome stuff that I loved. But they were not ready to get rid of those, G.I. Joe items. And I completely understood that. I completely understand not wanting to get rid of this stuff. You know what I mean? Because I don't want to get rid of this stuff. People always ask me, what's your collection worth? It's worth nothing. It's worth nothing because it's not for sale. You know what I mean? So this amazing woman and her husband did not want to sell their items. They didn't want to sell the G.I. Joe items. But look, you can see I ended up with that headquarters. And it's all because of what hunting nostalgia really is and why it exists at all. This woman, she sat on the steps of the attic and she listened to me film and she listened to me talk about these items and why they were important to me. Not because I could not wait to see what I could squeeze out of them through internet shopping and selling. No, because that was an item that I got sitting in the Christmas chair at my Nana's house. That's why I wanted it. I still have the photo of me opening it and going, and my cousin being very, very jealous, sitting right next to me with my Nana right behind me, thinking, I hope that's the one that he wanted. It absolutely was. Okay, that is hunting nostalgia. That's what hunting nostalgia is about. Stories like that. Well, she listened to my story and she said, Nick, I don't want to get rid of all the G.I. Joe stuff, but that I'll sell you. And there it be. There it is. So, from this Hunting Nostalgia Studio, each episode there is going to be a find of the week. It doesn't necessarily have to be something I found on that episode, but it will be, something out of my collection and where I found it. Because every single item in here, of the hundreds of thousands of items that I have, and hundreds of collections that I have, not one single piece came from online shopping. And I'm not against online shopping, but I'm glad to say I know where I got that crap. I found it covered in crap. Now this room isn't done yet. This is the big, massive closet. And I'm telling you, this sucker is humongous. Okay, but in here, this will be where I put all of your card backs, all of these that I've been collecting for a long, long, long time. These are going to be all over the walls. I actually got that idea from our Christmas special this past year, the Castle Noel. It is Contained Madness. They have a hallway there that was, Christmas toys from years past. And it was so cool. It was so cool. It was just a huge cluster of items, but it was neatly displayed, and I absolutely love that. That's exactly what's going to happen in the Hunting Nostalgia closet there. This item here, this bookshelf, everything in here I like to be vintage. I like it to be old. Not one of these cabinets or anything here is newer than the 1960s. This here is actually the newest one that I have. And it is from 1960, and it is from California. Can you imagine the psychedelic trip that this bookshelf took to get here to Pittsburgh after all this time? It's so neat. It is like a fort. This sucker is heavy, and it's awesome. So I knew that I wanted to have a spot for my Nintendo, and that's where that goes. There'll be a nice carpet here because, who did not sit on the floor playing Nintendo? I know I did. And this was just the icing on the cake here. Little spot. It did have a light, but it burned out, did not work. But this is this is just awesome. I can't help it. I would do this if nobody watches. I would still do this, go around and just look, because I've been waiting for a really, really long time for somewhere to have my items to share with everybody else. And I have my security team out here. Don't even mess. Bebop and Rocksteady, they have no chance. You know? I got the 4 teenage dudes with attitudes out there. And, all right, one last story. I mean, if you see anything around here you want to know, just let me know, you know. What's that? What's this? Look, now I actually have a place to have all of my WWF programs that I can read them, you know. The bottom of this old 1950s jewelry display here is filled with every single WWF magazine from the time they made them until, I'd say, like 1997, somewhere around there. But anyways, this will be the last story, okay? So I have a whole bunch of books that I've always liked, you know, because it's cool to have something to actually flip through, you know, not slide pictures on your phone. It's nice to actually have something to hold and to look at, you know. Speaking of something to hold and to look at, whenever I was in 9th grade, I went over to my buddy Aaron's house, and he had tons and tons of old books. And I thought to myself, you know, he has this Edgar Allan Poe book from 1927. I could borrow it, right? He'd never know. Yoink, took it right off the shelf. Well, when I did that, it left a big giant hole where that book was. And here it is right here. This is it. The works of Poe. So it left a big giant black hole. So within like 5 minutes of me being home, I get a call, and my buddy Aaron says, "Nick, my dad knows you took the Poe book." I said, "Okay." I said, "I'll bring it back." I said, "I just wanted to read it." You know, he must have he must have immediately saw that I stole the book. And he said, "No." He said, "My dad doesn't want you to bring it back. He likes the fact that you were interested in that. He said he wants you to keep it." So being a little jerk and a little creep paid off. It's now part of my collection. And it sits out front. And it was because of the appreciation. It wasn't because of the item. It wasn't because of the item. And that's what hunting nostalgia really is. It's not about anything you see here. It's not about any of these toys. It's not about any of these items. It's about you and your stories and me and my stories and why any of this stuff means anything to any of us anyways. Thanks for taking the tour of the Playhouse. Cannot wait to show you the next find of the day.